What's going on, YouTube? Today I bring my first episode in a series that's becoming very popular on YouTube in Mock the Mock. So if you haven't seen videos like this before, it's basically where you take someone else's mock draft and just react to it basically. And today I thought an awesome person to first do it with would be Hail Mary Podcast. If you haven't seen this guy, go check him out for sure. He is definitely really knowledgeable, does some pretty cool interviews with NFL scouts, and he just interviewed the Texans president. So really cool dude. But we're gonna be reacting to his mock today. So yeah, let's get started. So we're just gonna kind of go along here, and so first pick, he went with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I don't disagree. I don't see any need to change it. I agree fully. Then moving on to our next pick. So it looks like he's actually trading the pick here, and he trades the pick from the Jets to the Panthers, and the Panthers end up taking Zach Wilson here. I kind of like it, honestly. I like it. The Jets can move back to the 8th pick, which is a spot where they can, potentially pick up maybe Sewell if he falls to him, a receiver if whatever the best receiver is there, and if we actually look at his trade, I mean, I'm sure the Jets probably got a ton of picks out of this trade, so they trade down a fair amount, and Panthers pick up their quarterback of the future in Zach Wilson. I like it. Then moving on to our next pick, and the Dolphins go with Penei Sewell. Really like it. This is definitely something that could happen in real life. Very, very much could happen. So yeah, I just think it's a pick that makes sense. It helps their entire offensive line out a lot, and it gets them a lot better. I don't disagree. Moving on to the 4th pick, Falcons take Justin Fields. Again, I don't disagree. I think this is a good pick. I think it makes sense. I think he's perfect for the Falcons. I think it's great to maybe sit in behind Matt Ryan for a few years or so, and he'll develop, and I like the pick. I don't disagree. Then at number 5 with the Bengals here, Bengals go Ja'Marr Chase, and this is a pick the first pick that I kind of disagree with. See, I like the pick. I mean, overall, it's not a bad pick by any means. Ja'Marr Chase is my number 1 receiver in the draft, and it's awesome, obviously, to pair him back up with Joe Burrow. But you would have really obviously liked to pick up a guy like Penei Sewell here, and it does look like he's doing trades. So if this is a situation where, Penei Sewell didn't fall to them at 5, I feel like rather than take a receiver, even though Ja'Marr Chase is great, I feel a better move here would probably be to trade down with the team. Maybe a team would be willing to trade up here for one of the receivers or Kyle Pitts or something. But I still like the pick overall. It's not a bad pick. I just think if Penei Sewell doesn't fall to the Bengals, I feel like they should probably trade down. Then next, we have the Eagles, and he gives the Eagles, I'm assuming, a receiver. No, he actually takes Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech, and I definitely understand this pick. The Eagles do really need corner help. If you compare a guy up like Farley with Darius Slay, that'd be a really lethal duo, especially if Farley hits that high ceiling potential that he has. That'd be very lethal. Although with guys like Smith and Waddle and Pitts on the board, you do kind of wonder, should they take a receiving threat and make life easier for Jalen Hurts or Nick Foles, who's now in trade talks to go back to the Eagles? So, I definitely get the pick. It's a good pick. I just wonder, maybe do you want to go with receiver more likely there? Then the Lions at 8, and the Lions here, we skipped a little too far. The Lions here go Devontae Smith. I like it. Again, you kind of think maybe what do you go with between Smith and Waddle? I think with the Lions, I'd prefer Waddle. I just think he's more fit to be able to replace Kenny Golladay after he most likely leaves at latest next year. So I just think in that case, I like Waddle a bit more. Smith is my number 3, so I do have Waddle above Smith, but I still do like the pick. Smith is still a very Very athletic and speedy dude. Not as fast as Jalen Waddle, but he's still pretty speedy. Makes good plays after the catch. So, you know, I could maybe see like thinking Mac Jones or Trey Lance here, but yeah, it does pretty well seem like this is a good pick. Then we have the Jets at number 8 since they moved down with the Panthers, and it looks like I just went too far ahead again. It looks like they do indeed get one of their receivers here, and a fantastic one in Jalen Waddle. It worked out exactly to plan. I think you're able to move down and let's say you keep Sam Darnold in this situation, you get a fantastic receiver for him to throw to. Waddle is very, very fast, maybe the fastest guy in the class. Definitely comes off as like that potential number 1 threat receiver, but he can also make those good contested catches. He's a very solid receiver, so I think this is dream case scenario for the Jets here. Then the Broncos at 9, and it looks like the Broncos pick up Patrick Surtain here. Definitely don't disagree. Definitely obviously see where the Broncos, need corners. Probably should go with the corner here as well. Micah Parsons is obviously tempting here, but being that Caleb Farley's already off the board and they need a corner bad, Patrick Surtain definitely makes sense here, and I think he'd fit nicely with Fangio's scheme. Then next up we have the Cowboys, and the Cowboys here go J.C. Horn. Now, this is an interesting pick because I like the pick overall. Obviously, they need corners pretty bad, and I do like J.C. Horn a lot. I really am very high on him, but I'm not top 10 high. So this is a spot where I think maybe you want to trade down with a team like, the Patriots, Washington, Colts, because I could see one of those teams be very willing, maybe even the Vikings, be very willing to trade up here and take, either Trey Lance or Mac Jones ahead of, teams like the Niners and the Vikings and the Patriots. So I think you could still get J.C. Horn at probably the 15th or 16th, or not 16th, 19th pick. I just think maybe trading down here, gathering some more picks and still getting the guy you want would be a better fit here. But I do really like J.C. Horn, and he would still be very solid for the Cowboys. Then at number 11, we have the Giants, and I'm expecting this to be Kyle Pitts, but it's not. Okay, so he takes Micah Parsons from Penn State, and this is also an interesting pick because I definitely understand why. Linebacker is a pretty big need for them. A lot of people thought that was filled with Blake Martinez, but didn't really realize how bad of a player he was. Micah Parsons is a fantastic linebacker, really more than a linebacker. I like him a lot. I think that a lot of the stuff coming out with, his supposed fighting issue or whatever, I don't think that's going to affect his draft stock. Except for teams like the Giants, who I feel like are probably going to be scared right now by those types of players. After they took a big bet on a guy like DeAndre Baker, and then he had his whole robbery charge and everything, I just feel like they probably aren't going to want to be taking players that have, some off-the-field issues. And, when you still have a guy like Kyle Pitts on the board, it's really hard to pass up because the dude is maybe, besides Jamar Chase, the best receiver in the class. So it's hard to pass that up. I see the need here, but I feel like if they were to go linebacker, I think JOK is probably the more reasonable pick here just because of the Giants and DeAndre Baker. But this can definitely still happen, though. Then we have the 49ers at 12, and I'm thinking this is probably going to be Trey Lance. Skip ahead here. But instead he goes with Rashawn Slater, and oh boy, here we go. If you watch my channel, I do not like Rashawn Slater, and but I get it. I definitely do understand the pick. Very high chance that they lose Trent Williams to free agency, and beyond that, people love to talk all the time that he can play at guard and stuff. I think he potentially can. People really only project he can play at guard just because of his short arms, which in my opinion is a horrible way to look at it. But if you really need him to, if they are able to keep Trent Williams, you can kick him to guard, which is a pretty big need for the 49ers. So while I think Trey Lance would actually be a better pick here, even though I don't like Trey Lance either, I definitely do understand the pick for Rashawn Slater here. So I don't hate it as much as I normally do, but I still do think cornerback actually There are no corners on the board at this point, but I think quarterback would be a better position to go, but I can understand it. Then we have the Chargers at 13, and the Chargers here go with Christian Darrisaw. Yeah, this is pretty much almost always the pick for the Chargers in my mocks. It's just it makes a lot of sense. You know, they just got to get someone at like that tackle position or the guard right there. I think Christian Darrisaw is a fantastic tackle. He's my number 2 in the class. Very strong and powerful dude. I like the pick. It makes sense. So, although really quick, there are some rumors that Orlando Brown may be traded to the Chargers. That might take your first round pick, but hey, you're getting a fantastic tackle in him. So, then moving on, we have the Vikings, and it looks like he's doing a trade here. So the Vikings trade with the Jaguars, and the Jaguars jump up for Kyle Pitts. Very interesting. So it looks like Minnesota trades down to hopefully the other first round pick for the Jaguars. In return, I'm assuming they obviously get some good picks, but the Jaguars trade up here for Kyle Pitts, and I like it. I do. I don't know if maybe trading up is the move for the Jaguars. When you are such a bad team, you're probably going to want to use your picks on more players. But Kyle Pitts is unarguably a fantastic talent, and I'm assuming they really did move up here so that way the Patriots couldn't get their hands on him, because God, would Belichick love a guy like Kyle Pitts. Like I said, I don't know if the move here is to move up for the Jaguars, but regardless, they do get a fantastic player in Kyle Pitts. And, I think he instantly comes in and he's instantly starting over Tyler Eifert. I like the pick. Then the Patriots at 15. And the Patriots, I hope, are probably going to take Trey Lance here. Or JOK. Yeah, so they take Trey Lance. And yeah, he's another guy that if you watch my channel, I don't like him. But I do believe the Patriots is probably besides the 49ers, is probably the best situation he can be in. With Trey Lance, the reason I don't like him that much is because he's super, super boom or bust. Meaning, if he booms, this guy is going to be about as good as Josh Allen. And Josh Allen's awesome, obviously. But if he busts, he's like not like a bottom level quarterback in the NFL. Like he's true like bust, like get out of here bust. So my issue with Trey Lance is that's a guy that I'm fine taking, maybe a second or third round pick on. But I don't know, when you're a team like the Patriots that needs a quarterback badly, I like the pick overall, because if anyone's able to hit that boom potential on Lance, it is definitely Belichick. But again, I don't know if I'm willing to spend a top 15 pick on a guy that very likely could be a bust, very likely could be boom, but it's just as much an equal chance. And when you're a team that needs a quarterback pretty badly, I don't like that. But the pick does make sense, and so I do like the pick overall. Then we have the Cardinals at 16, and I hope he takes a corner here for the Cardinals. Might be a bit of a reach for Eric Stokes here or Asante Samuel, but oh no, we got another trade, ladies and gentlemen. Trading with the Titans. So the Titans trade up to grab Joseph Ossai, and I don't really like this for a few reasons. For the Cardinals, I like this a lot. They trade down, grab some picks, probably are going to be able to get a solid corner at 22. I don't like this on the Titans end. Trading up is one thing, but then for Ossai, I get it. He's a very versatile dude, and they need versatility because they could need defensive ends and outside linebackers next year. And Ossai can play defensive end and outside linebacker, but Kwity Paye is still on the board. If you really want to, take Gregory Rousseau here. People who watch my channel know I love Azeez Ojulari. I would rather take any of those guys first over Joseph Ossai, even though most of the time Ossai goes over Rousseau in my drafts. I'd still rather have them. And honestly, it's kind of seeming more and more like Ossai probably won't even be a first-round pick on many teams. So, trading up for him and then taking him over guys like Kwity Paye and Azeez Ojulari and this like Jalen Phillips. I can't agree with that. And obviously they need an edge player, but I just think why not wait till the 22 pick and pick up a guy like Azeez, or heck, Osai could still be here. Maybe the Raiders pass on him or something, but I mean, I'm not a big fan of the pick for the Titans. Cardinals, great trade. Titans would not like this at all. Then the Raiders take up Kwity Paye, who's kind of fallen in his mock a little bit here. I like this. I often mock Kwity Paye to the Vikings a lot of the time. Obviously, they passed on him because they traded with the Jaguars. But, Kwity Paye is a very solid pass rusher. A lot of people think he can only play 3-4, and I think he can play 3-4 and 4-3. I think he'll thrive in either one. Yeah, he's a very solid edge rusher. People seem to be cooling on him a bit, though. I mean, obviously, you see here he falls to 17. That franchise guy doesn't even think he's a first-rounder right now. I like him. I think he's really solid. I don't think he's the best pass rusher in this class long-term. I think that's Azeez. But I do like the pick. It makes sense. He's probably the best guy available here for the Raiders, so it makes sense. Then the Dolphins at 18, and I'm pretty interested to see where he goes here since they took Sewell with their first pick earlier. And here they go with Zaven Collins. So here's the thing. Positional-wise, I really like the pick. They could use a really good linebacker like Zaven Collins. But I cannot agree with taking Zaven Collins over JOK. Now, scheme-wise, I do think Collins fits better with JOK than JOK with the Dolphins. But I just think, Zaven Collins is a great linebacker, don't get me wrong. But, JOK is just so much better in so many ways. He's more athletic. He's more versatile. Zaven Collins is great, but he can't play safety or slot corner. JOK can. I like the pick, but I think there's a way better player to go here with JOK. But I still get it. I can't take Zaven Collins over JOK. Then at 19, we have Washington, and Mac Jones is still here, But no, Washington's going to be trading with the Vikings. So the Vikings traded down to 25 and are now trading back up to 19. So this is interesting. And who are they going to pick? Gregory Rousseau. Interesting. So he has the Vikings trading down with the Jaguars and then trading up with Washington. This is kind of interesting for both sides because, for Washington, sure, you trade down, but, you have an opportunity to take a guy like Mac Jones at 19, right, who's still on the board. The Patriots passed up on him, obviously. If you're not taking him, I feel like either the Bears or the Colts are. And you traded back behind him. You gained some picks, sure. So, I don't really get that or like that. And then with the Vikings, trading it for Rousseau, it makes sense. I don't know if taking a developmental project is the pick here for the Vikings. Because that's what Rousseau is, honestly. He is a developmental project. And heck yeah, once Danielle Hunter teaches him some things, Rousseau and Hunter would be maybe the scariest pass rush duo in the entire NFL. But, do you want to take a developmental guy here, especially trading up for him when he could very well be there at 25? I don't really like the trade for either team. It's good value not good value. It's good, a good position to go here for the Vikings, but I just overall don't really like the trade. Then the Bears at 20, and they're going to take Mac Jones because, again, he's still on the board, and Washington traded down rather than taking him. And instead they go with Jalen Mayfield, which, why? Samuel Cosmi is still there, and I'd probably even end up taking, Dylan Redunz or Liam Eichenberg over Mayfield. The pick makes sense. They need tackles pretty bad since both of them could be cut. So tackle definitely makes sense here, but again, Mac Jones is still there. I don't know why not take him, but also, again, I would much rather take especially Samuel Cosmi, but even Eichenberg or Redunz over Mayfield. So positional-wise, it makes sense, but there are much better tackles to take here. And again, Mac Jones is still there. So if Mac Jones has now fallen to the Colts, he's got a Like, they've got to take Mac Jones. Nope, okay. Sammy Cosmi here, I get it. Yeah, that is amazing value for the Colts. I mean, that's their new franchise left tackle. He'll be amazing for them. But Mac Jones is there. Like, Andrew Luck isn't coming out of retirement. I'm pretty dang sure that they're not getting Carson Wentz. Why not pick up Mac Jones? Like, I don't know, maybe I haven't really heard Hail Mary podcast thoughts on Mac Jones. Maybe he doesn't like him. Maybe he doesn't think he's a first round pick. I do. I really like Mac Jones. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. Will he ever be an elite quarterback in the NFL? No, he's never going to be Mahomes or Allen, but he can be a very solid starter. I mean, think a bit better than Kirk Cousins, right? Like, and that'd be solid for a team like the Colts. So I get it. Sam Cosmi's fantastic value, and you get your franchise left tackle, but like Mac Jones is still there, you know. Then we come around to the Cardinals, who traded down with the Titans earlier, and here they're probably going to take a corner, right? Yeah, they take Asante Samuel. I like the pick here. Definitely makes sense. And I definitely get why he doesn't take Eric Stokes here. I actually read Hail Mary podcast's scouting report on Eric Stokes, and he very clearly stated that Eric Stokes is not a man corner. He's a zone corner, and the Cardinals do like to play majority man defense. So it does make sense in that, right? So while I do have Eric Stokes above Asante Samuel, I do understand the pick and I like it. You know, kind of like what he stated with his scouting report on him was that, you know, Eric Stokes is another prospect that is pretty boom or bust, honestly, in the NFL. Just being that he's from Georgia, naturally he's a pretty grabby player, which, you know, if Georgia could really teach their players to stop, I mean that's kind of just part of their system, but if they were able to stop that, then they're elite corners in the NFL. But that can really hold them back, so I understand the pick. So I like it overall. But then we have the Jets here at 23, and yeah, so let's see who they pick, because they took or they traded with the Panthers and then picked up Jalen Waddle. So here, it looks like they're going to trade again with the Browns this time. So the Browns trade up in order to draft JOK. Okay, so yeah, that definitely makes sense, I think. You know, there's a very good chance that both the Steelers and Washington would definitely take a guy like JOK if he should fall to them. So yeah, I definitely get it. I mean, the Jets, you know, are able to trade down a bit. I'm not sure who they exactly be wanting to trade down for, but you gain some picks here. And the Browns trade up here to get an amazing linebacker in JOK. Like I said, he's very versatile, very athletic, just a really solid linebacker. Again, I'm not taking Zaven Collins over him, so he does kind of fall here in his mock, but I like the move here for both teams. You know, Jets gain some picks, Browns get an amazing linebacker. Then we have the Steelers here. This is a pick that normally I'd be tempted to maybe think Mac Jones, but they've got Dwayne Haskins that Big Ben's probably going to try and develop. So here, they're probably going to go tackle him soon. Yeah, they go tackle here in Liam Eichenberg. I like it. Obviously, it's a position of need for them, especially since Villanueva's most likely not going to be there next year. But I think when it comes to positional wise, this is a great pick. But again, I'd probably rather Radunz over Eichenberg, because the thing with Eichenberg is that, like, he has super hot streaks. Like this past season, I think he had like 435 snaps without giving up a sack, which was great. That was like the best in college football. But he's just not that athletic. He's not great in the you know, besides like normal pass and run blocking, he's not super good in the screen game. And he has patches where, like, yeah, he's really good most of the time, but when he has like his cold streaks, they're really bad. So if he can kind of fix up his consistency, get a bit more athletic, move his feet some more, I'm all down for him here, but I would definitely take Radunz over Eichenberg personally. Then Washington at 25 after trading down earlier with the Vikings. And I wonder who they're going to pick up. Rashad Bateman, okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Personally, I'm more of a fan of Kadarius Toney with Washington. I think that makes more sense. But I can definitely see why Rashad Bateman goes here. So I'm probably lower on Bateman than most people. I kind of have trouble with his drop issues. Um, just not the fastest or most athletic guy, but he is still a solid receiver. But again, I'd probably prefer Tony over him here. But I do understand the pick. I like it. They really don't need to go offensive line. But Mac Jones is still here. You know, they passed up on Mac Jones earlier and still pass up on him here. So I guess Hail Mary Podcast doesn't like Mac Jones that much because I don't know why I don't know why the Bears and Colts would pass up on him and Washington would pass up on him twice. So that is kind of one thing I'm kind of just curious about, but I do understand the pick, and it is still a solid pick. And then moving on to the Jets pick after trading down with the Browns, they take Azeez Ojulari. Yeah, I like it. I think it makes sense. I'm pretty sure the Jets play a 3-4 defense, if I'm not mistaken. If they do play 4-3, then I don't like it because I think Azeez Ojulari is pretty much a 3-4 outside linebacker. I don't really see him being anything else in the NFL. So if the Jets run a 4-3 scheme, I don't really like this pick. Otherwise, though, I do like it. You know, they get a fantastic edge rusher. I think personally that he's probably long-term the best edge rusher in the class. So I like it. They pick up some nice edge rush, and yeah. Again, if they play 4-3, then I don't really like this. But then moving on to the Ravens, and the Ravens take Terrace Marshall Jr. Again, probably a spot that I'd rather take Kadarius Toney over. You know, I don't see Terrace Marshall being a first rounder personally. Just, you know, he was really solid for LSU this year. I think he did very good stepping up into their number one spot, but I don't really know if he's fits that well with what the Ravens really need in the receiver room. But they kind of have some guys like Terrace Marshall already. I think a guy like Kadarius Toney would be a much better spot here. Not necessarily for the speed, but just the type of player he is. I think he fits better in the slot and stuff. And Hollywood Brown's okay in the slot, but I think Toney would be much better. You know, Terrace Marshall, just for being the big-bodied contested catcher guy, he doesn't catch the contested catches as much as you'd want. So there are a few concerns to his game, which is why he's a second rounder for me. I get the pick, but I feel like edge rusher is probably somewhere you'd want to go with here rather, or maybe possibly safety. So, you know, receiver does make sense here, but I think I'd like Toney a lot more here. Then the Saints. Please don't take a safety. No, they go Kadarius Toney. Okay. I like the pick. You know, they need a number 2 wide receiver because they'll probably cut Emmanuel Sanders. And there's a lot of trade rumors actually right now of Michael Thomas since he was he was injured most of the year, but he was bad when he was on the field. So they really kind of need help at wide receiver. And so I do like the pick. I think it makes sense. Although, you know, if they do trade Michael Thomas and cut Emmanuel Sanders and don't get anyone new, you're then making Kadarius Toney probably wide receiver number 1, which I don't think is a good position for him. I don't think he's a number 1 in the NFL. I think at best he's a 2 and a good slot player. But I don't know. The pick here for me is almost always Nick Bolton, Zaven Collins if he falls. And I feel like that'd still rather be my pick here. They kind of need more help at linebacker than they do receiver. Especially with the way the draft falls here. I don't think Toney is the way to go, but I do understand it. Then we have the Packers at 29, and the Packers here go Nick Bolton. Okay, so kind of the opposite situation here where, yeah, they need help at linebacker, and I love Nick Bolton. I mean, he's, again, just super athletic, super speedy. The dude would be a freak for Green Bay, but, they need a corner pretty badly. And Asante Samuel is still on the board, isn't he? Or not Asante, he went earlier. Eric Stokes is still on the board, I believe. So, you know, why not take him? You know, Eric Stokes is a fantastic corner. Again, very boom or bust, but I think he's going to hit the boom. And again, they just need corners pretty badly. So while Nick Bolton makes sense here, I just think corner has to be the pick for them if they're not going to trade down. So makes sense. but I feel like it's got to be a corner. Then the Bills at 30, and the Bills here go Eric Stokes. So, I see cornerback as a popular pick for the Bills, and I understand it. If you compare a guy like Stokes with Tre'Davious White, again, say Stokes does hit that boom potential, that's a very, very scary pairing. Um, but they do have Taron Johnson already, and yeah, he wasn't great besides the postseason, but I guess the only other spot you'd really go here is probably like inside offensive line or edge. And Elijah Vera Tucker is still on the board. I think he'd be tremendous value for the Bills if he fell to 30. But they pass him up here. They could go linebacker with a guy like Dylan Moses or something. So, there's different positions, but the more I think about it, they're such a team that they're so well built that they can afford to take a luxury pick like this, where if he does boom, it's just going to make their defense even more scary. If he busts, it's not a horrible loss because, they're so well put together already. So I get the pick. I just think I'd probably prefer Vera Tucker or Dylan Moses here, but I get the pick. Then the Chiefs at 31. Honestly, thought they were going to be picking at 32. And they go Elijah Vera Tucker. So, yeah, I mean, okay. People are acting like the Chiefs' offensive line is horrible. And that's not the case. They were down. They're starting left tackle, left guard, and right tackle for the game. Yeah, your offensive line is going to play horrible when that happens. But I do think that offensive line should be the pick, but not inside. And yeah, Vera Tucker can play tackle, but I think tackle definitely has to be the pick if they're going to focus on offensive line because, Eric Fisher's been great. But wow, I mean, as soon as he went out, they instantly declined. And Mitchell Schwartz is obviously one of the best, if not the best tackle in all of football. But when he went out, there was also a huge decline of play for the offensive line. But now there's actually a decent chance Mitchell Schwartz might not even come back because the back injury is really, really concerning actually. So in that case, if you want to kick Vera Tucker out to tackle, I think he can work there, but I do see him as much more of a guard or center in the NFL. And the Chiefs aren't really that bad at inside. It is tackle depth and potentially a starter because of Schwartz's injury that they need to focus on. So he kind of hits it here. I'm assuming he's taking this pick because he's projecting Vera Tucker to play tackle. I don't see him as much of a tackle, so he's on the right track here. But again, Dillon Radunz is still on the board, and I think that would make much more sense here. And then with their last pick of our mock, we have the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers here go Jaelan Phillips. So, yeah, I like the pick. I'm in the boat of Jaelan Phillips as a first-round pick. A lot of people are really concerned about him because of the concussions. He has had a lot of concussions. Almost quit football because of them, and that's concerning. But again, when you just won the Super Bowl, your team really can't get much better than it already is. So you can afford to take a pick like this, kind of like with Eric Stokes. They're so well put together that you can take Jaelan Phillips if he booms, right? The concussions don't end up being a concern. He's going to be an amazing bull rusher for the Buccaneers to either replace Suh or go across from him. That's really, really scary. A lot of people think he can play like outside linebacker. I think he's more strictly a defensive end, which is why he can play 3-4 or 4-3. But I get the pick because if he busts, it's not a big deal because they literally just won the Super Bowl. They obviously already have the talent. You're just trying to go for a luxury pick here, so it makes sense. I like the pick a lot. The only thing I'm still considering is Mac Jones is still there. Tom Brady could potentially retire, this offseason. Will likely retire after next season. And they don't have a backup plan at quarterback right now. They probably can't sign anybody. So, again, why not take Mac Jones, see what he's got, let him develop under Brady for a year or whatever. I don't know. I think I'd still maybe take that pick here, but I do like Phillips here. So yeah, that was my mock the mock of Hail Mary podcast. Again, if you haven't seen this guy, go check him out. He's awesome. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you guys for 200 subscribers. A very, a very small number to a lot of people, but a big number to me. So yeah, and let's keep it coming. Don't forget to leave your opinion, and thanks for watching. I hope I see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.